friends, Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade and Hallmark. Today I've got this fun slimline card featuring a really cute scene using some great products from Mama Elephant. This stamp set was released last year and the trees were released this year. They go perfectly together and I can't wait to share it. Gonna start out with ink blending my background. I've got a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock here cut down to a 3.5 by 8.5 card base so I can do a slimline card. And I really wanted to have a nice soft sky. I usually do, like, of course, the blue skies for winter, but I love this combination. I really fell in love with it during my Christmas in July series, and I just had to use it on this scene today. So I'm starting out with Wilted Violet, and then I'm going to go in with Spun Sugar. It doesn't seem like these two colors would go well together, but being that they're so pale and they're all the pastel colors, they go beautifully together. And I just, again, love how this little scene turned out. It reminds me of whenever we go to pick out our Christmas tree. We go every year to my husband's grandfather's Christmas tree farm, and we pick out a tree. And we went and picked out a tree this year, and we love going around and looking at all the beautiful trees and finding the perfect one that's going to fit in our home. And it's a nice way to kind of start out the season for us. Now, we won't pick it up until near the end of November, just because it's a live tree and we don't want it to dry out before Christmas gets there. So now that I had all my ink blending finished, I went in with my homemade shimmer spray, which is just perfect pearls and water inside of a little mister. And I love the effect that it gives to the skies, a nice kind of like glistening look to it, you know, kind of like a nice winter morning. And then I am going to go in with my white gouache, and I'm going to add some snow as well. Now, it doesn't really translate. I guess it's not translate, but you don't see it as much because there's a lot going on the scene, but it's nice and subtle in the background. And I am going to add some of my favorite clay embellishments later on. So you could leave this step out if you don't have any white gouache or you don't have any white kind of paint or anything, but I really love adding this just in the background because it adds that nice feel and subtle kind of soft winter morning, and that's really what I was going for. Once I had that all done, I'm going to set it off to the side to dry completely. While that's drying, I'm going to work on my little trees. I am using this silhouette snow trees from Mama Elephant. This came out in not their one of their releases for the winter, and I just adore these trees. They are so perfect, and I think they'll work with any of the Mama Elephant products. They just are beautiful, and you can color them any way that you like. You can cut them out with solid cardstock. You can cut them out with watercolor cardstock and watercolor them. I'm going to ink blend with them. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide inks in Rustic Wilderness, and I'm going to ink blend my little trees here. I like the variation of kind of tones that you get when you ink blend, because sometimes you might get a little bit more ink on one part than you do the other, and I really think it makes them look a little bit more realistic. And I'm gonna also add some snow on top a little bit later after I have these all ink blended. I am gonna speed up this process a little bit just because it's repetition, nothing, you know, fascinating going on here. I am just ink blending over these trees, and I am using the Bristol smooth cardstock. It is my preferred cardstock when it comes to ink blending, just because the ink really kind of glides over top of the paper, and I just love the way that it looks. It does take a little bit longer to dry just because the ink does set on top of it. It doesn't soak down into the paper. Either way, you can use any cardstock that you like. Here you can see I'm going to speed up the process, and I'm using that little strip of paper to kind of keep my fingers out of it, because you can get fingerprint transfer with the Bristol because the ink does sit on top. So once I get all of my trees ink blended, I'm going to hit them with my heat gun real quick just to make sure that they are nice and dry, because I am going to do heat embossing. Now, you could use a grit paste or a texture paste or anything like that, but I have found that whenever I use any kind of distress, the grit paste will kind of pull the ink into it and make it green. So the way that I have kind of solved that is I'm going to heat these, make sure these are nice and dry, and I'm going to be using the Fawn embossing pen and some white embossing powder. This little pen is the perfect tool for this, and it really makes for a nice bright white on the trees. But you really want to make sure that everything is nice and dry and the ink is really set before you go in and do this, because whenever you start adding the embossing powder, you don't want it to hang around where you don't want it. So here's that embossing pen, and I'm just going to go along and I'm just going to scribble around the trees where I think the snow would lay. And then I'm just going to cover it with the embossing powder and then heat it up, and it's going to make the most beautiful snow on these trees, and I think it looks fantastic. And yes, you'll get a little bit of transfer onto your little excuse me, the embossing pen, but it cleans off really easily. I'll show that here after I'm all done. But here you can see I'm just going along and just scribbling on that embossing pen, kind of working back and forth, putting a little bit on, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that embossing powder. Once I have the entire tree done, I'm going to go in and heat it up, and you're going to see how cute it looks and the really fun snowy effect that you get. And I don't mind kind of like the scribbly look. If you wanted it to look a little bit more like natural, to where it looks more like snowfall, you could do it with like an ink blender or anything like that. I don't mind the scribbles at all, because snow's gonna fall where snow's gonna fall. It's not gonna look perfect. So and I love how these turned out. I think they look so cute. I've got a few more ideas with this, and I can't wait to use them throughout the winter, not just for Christmas cards, but for the whole winter season. So again, I'm just going to speed this up here. Nothing, groundbreaking. I'm just going back and forth and adding that embossing ink from that pen, and then adding the embossing powder and heating it up. Here you can see I've got all of my cute trees all finished, and I love how they turned out. Each one is different and unique, just like they would be in nature, and I think they turned out fantastic. I love these so much. Next, I wanted to show you how easy it is to clean off that embossing pen, because it did get pretty green during this process, and I just took a scrap piece of paper and I just kind of scribbled over it, and it cleaned it off perfectly. It's perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. Now I'm going to get into my coloring. I left everything in for you to enjoy. All of the colors will be listed in the description as well on the screen, and I'm using Copic-friendly paper with Copic-friendly ink, and I'm going to put on some music for you to enjoy, and when we're all finished, we'll come back and finish up this cute scene together.
It's an early December morning, no one but we are. We look out the window as it's starting to snow, and I realize as you hand me the door, we got by. Falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and around. I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you, falling for you. Hadn't counted on love for Christmas. This caught me right off guard, but I ain't complaining. It's a wonderful present, a gift that comes in the shape of a heart. And I'm falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and around. I'm falling just like these snowflakes, falling for you, falling for you. And if I were to make a wish upon a star, would it be too much to ask? A place forever in your arms, and for this moment to last. Because I'm falling just like these snowflakes, tumbling down, round and round. And I'm falling just like these snowflakes, are getting a tree while my sister and me are writing verses and rhymes. Soon they will be here, same as every year. Everyone wants home for Christmas. No matter if it's near or far, everyone wants home for Christmas. Wherever in the world they are, one after the other, knocking at the door. Here everybody's welcome, the rich and the poor. Kids play on the outside in the newly fallen snow, while the grown-ups all huddle up inside away from the blistering cold. Soon Santa will be here, the same as every year. Everyone wants home for Christmas. No matter if it's near or far, yeah. Everyone wants home for Christmas. Wherever in the world they are. Let's make a snowman. That's something even the grown-ups can. The carrot for his nose. Let's call him Frosty. He'll be our friend. What does it matter if it's all pretend? Everyone wants home for Christmas. No matter if it's near or far, everyone wants home for Christmas. Wherever in the world they are, everyone wants home for Christmas. Yeah. No matter if it's near or far, everyone wants home for Christmas.
Once I had all the coloring finished, I used the coordinating dies to cut out all of these sweet little images. I just love this little family. Reminds me of my own, except I don't have any little girls, so I'm thinking of some of the other people in my family who this card would be perfect for. Next, I'm going to go in and add some of my favorite little white gel pen details and some other details. Again, this is a completely optional step. If this isn't your thing, you can totally leave it out. I personally think it looks really cute, and I think it adds a lot of character, and this is where I realized I forgot the color in the hubcaps. I did all that coloring, and I was like, oh gosh, I totally forgot the hubcaps. So I decided to color them in the same color as I did the car, and those nice blue-green colors. I love adding teals and purples to any of my holiday cards. I really wanted to try to stay away from using reds because I don't have any other red going on in the card. I have that beautiful purpley pink sky, and I felt that these colors went really well with that. You could easily color these characters in using the traditional Christmas colors. I just decided to go with something that matched really well with my background. Again, going in with that white gel pen detail and just adding those little highlights here and there. And I love this number 10 Jelly Roll pen. I think it is the best one. Now, I do use the others that come in the little 3-pack set, the number 5, and I think there's a number 8. And I like using those ones to do like little details like I did here on this scarf, and just adding a little bit of fun to the different areas of the images. I add a little highlight to their cheeks. And I love these bunnies from Mama Elephant. I think they are just so adorable, and I really wanted to color them all in the same colors, so they did look like they were all part of the same family. And I know everybody's different, but I just felt like it was a nice way to kind of make them look like a cute little family. Adding a little bit of a black glaze pen to their eyes. And then finally, I'm going to go in with my Stardust glitter pen and add a little bit of shine to the different parts of the car and the fuzz on their little hats, which I really think makes it really shine. And then I love adding a little bit of sparkle to any kind of pine trees. I think it makes it look like it's, you know, kind of frosty. I mean, they're out in the morning getting their tree. I'm thinking maybe it's, you know, Christmas Eve morning, because some people don't put their tree up till then. We put our tree up right after Thanksgiving. I love having it up all December, and it really gets us going for the holidays. I love how they turned out. So, so sweet. Now we can assemble our little scene here. I wanted to stamp on the inside of my card, so I've got a piece of Nina Desert Storm cardstock, and I have it cut down so that it is a top, I guess it's a top folding slimline card. You could easily do this design as an A2 sized card. I think it would be really cute doing the different layers of the trees going up. I just wanted to have a little bit more space on my card to really show them walking in a line together. So here I've got that Nina, and I'm going to stamp down using that same Rustic Wilderness, a greeting from the same set that says, "Have a tremendous Christmas." I thought that was a really cute pun. And I also stamped the little tree that comes in that set as well. So it does come with a tree that you can use if you don't have the silhouette trees. It comes with this nice tree stamp and a die. So if you wanted to use those instead, you could easily create the same scene with that. Or if you have other trees, or you have stencils, anything like that, that you can create a scene similar to this. And I wanted to stamp 3 trees on the inside just to kind of fill up the space a bit and really make it kind of look like it goes well together. And I loved how this turned out, and I love the cute little pun, "Have a tremendous Christmas." I love going to get our Christmas tree. It is still one of my favorite things that we do, and the kids love looking at all the trees. We went today, which is October 30th, when I'm doing this voiceover, and this is whenever we got our tree. We went and picked it out. We tagged it so that somebody else couldn't take our tree. So I'm going to get the scene ready here. So my background is all nice and dry, and I just used some Slimline HILLSIDE dies that I had in my stash. You could use any that you like. I decided to go with the ones that don't have any stitching. I felt like it fit my scene really nice. If you wanted to add the ones with the stitching, you definitely could. And I cut them a little bit longer than my actual panel, just so I could get everything fit in there nicely, and then I'm just going to trim it off later. I found that if I try to cut it exactly the same size, I end up screwing it up and it doesn't turn out right. So I find that it's better to trim it out a little bit longer and then just cut off the excess. That way you know you're going to get a perfect fit every time. I'm going to get that in there. I just love how this turns out. I just love how soft it looks, and I really think of a really early Christmas morning, and you know, when it's all quiet out in the woods and you just maybe have a few birds and there's a fresh snow on the ground. I think it's just the best, my favorite time of year. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my trees lined up here. Now I know that they are going to be a little bit taller and some are going to hang off, but I am totally okay with that. I really wanted this to look like a snapshot, you know, where some of the trees are going to be out of your view, and it's going to really look like the you know, that they're out in the forest. So some of them are going to overhang, and then this panel is actually cut a little bit smaller than my card base so that it fits, has a nice border around it, kind of frames it up. I use the waffle flower Slimline dies. I'll make sure that they're linked below, and that way you can, if you want to get the same kind of look, that's what I used. You can easily trim it down if you're good at doing the math. I'm terrible at the math. I would rather just use my dies. That way I know that it's done right. Here you can see I'm adding 3 trees along the one side, and then I'm going to add that really big one, and I am going to trim him off, which is totally fine. It's going to really kind of set the scene. And then that other tree, so I have a total of 5 trees, which I think is a nice odd number. I know people are like, what's the deal with the odd numbers and things? I just personally like to do things in odd numbers. It's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I have a thing where if I see even numbers, it kind of freaks me out. But that's just me. Anyway, moving on. Here you can see where it kind of overlaps a little bit, and I love how a couple of the trees kind of poke out above the frame, because I think it really just kind of makes a neat effect. And I don't mind that that one is cut off at the top. It really kind of, again, sets the scene. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my greeting stamped and embossed. Now you could have done this before you glued everything down, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough space to add my greeting. I apologize for my big old head getting in the way and all of my hair. And I just wanted to make sure that I had enough space. It doesn't affect the glue or the adhesive at all. As long as you have everything heated up nicely and it melts that embossing powder quickly, you won't have any issues. So I did use some Versamark ink, and I'm using some Brutus Monroe Alabaster White embossing powder, and I am using the greeting, "Happiness is celebrating the small moments," and I just love that. I love all of the greetings in this little stamp set. They are just so true to the whole spirit of Christmas and being together and having all of those fun small moments with your family, and that's what I love to do. Now that all of our elements are together, we can finally get our little sweet family put on our card here. And I love this cute little card. I love how you can accessorize it to fit whomever you're going to send this to. Like if they have a certain car color, you know, or they have a favorite color for their family, I think it is a cute way to accessorize it for whomever you're going to give it to. I'm going to be using some scrapbook adhesives 3D foam squares to adhere my little images. I wanted to add a little bit of dimension just because I wanted them to stand out a little bit more from the background. And my children were funny. They were like, "Why is the little one carrying an axe?" They thought it was odd that the little baby one was carrying an axe. And I was like, you know, you can do things as long as you do them safely. And he's with his folks, so I think he'll be just fine. Gonna get that. I wanted to get the car placed first because it's the biggest element, and I wanted to make sure I had enough spacing on there for the other little elements going across. And I love this little mama, or you could color it to be the dad, whichever way you want to do it, is, you know, trying to make sure the little one's up there being safe. I think my little guy would be the one to climb up on the back of the car, hanging onto that tree all the way home. He would definitely be the one doing that. Get our little guy here at the end, and I just love this little trail of characters, and I think it is so sweet. I love this little scene. It turned out beautifully, exactly the way I imagined it in my mind. And I'm going to go in with a few finishing details. Of course, I'm going to add my favorite Trinity snowflakes. I just love these so, so much. And I've decided that I'm just going to use my tweezers here to add these. I have found this has been the easiest way for me to add these little snowflakes. I haven't had any issues with using it, and so I'm just going to stick with using those. So I know you guys have probably gotten tired of hearing me complain about how I can't get anything to work with these little snowflakes, but these tweezers work just fine. Going to go in and add those last few snowflakes, and I love the little bit of dimension that adds. And then I'm going to go in with some crystal drops in White Blizzard. This is a nice kind of clear, glittery kind of, um, I guess, crystal drop. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And I just want to add it to the trees just to add a little bit of that shine and sparkle, just again to make it look like they're out early in the morning, you know, right as the day's breaking and getting that beautiful Christmas tree. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. Again, I really hope you enjoyed this fun slimline scene card featuring some really cute images and dies from Mama Elephant. I love how this card turned out. It is such a beautiful little scene, and the greetings are absolutely perfect. Celebrating the small moments during the holidays is the best. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I can't wait to share with you the next cards, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye!
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.